Market vitals, the levels you need to triage. Audio a little tardy, Matt. Hi, G. Matt, I was so inspired by you got up and left for a coffee yesterday. And I was so inspired by the jungle gym from the 1920s that I had to bring it back in. Because you understand how we were able to fight 2 world wars, right?
Where do you get ladders that tall anymore?
My contractor doesn't have a ladder that tall.
No.
How about my guy right here? How about little Jimmy here?
Just
out in the middle of
this. He's the king of the mountain. He will not. He will kick anybody's ass in that playground.
Nobody else can get near him.
Yep.
Like, dude, you are nuts. And he's just
look at this. Look at the swing. Look how high that guy is in the swing.
How about the kid going up the
and then what's up with the warden on your back right, behind your right shoulder down there, coming out of that the prison door back there? The warden.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I don't know. We're soft though. That's all I'm trying. I'm just what I'm trying to tell you, Matt. And I got a couple other shares to prove this exact thought. How soft we are. But first, Matt, I want to share a little inspiration. I just love this. Watch this, dude. Slow-mo. Boing. Boing. Boing.
Is that Jim from Taxi?
It's Jim, right? Ignatowski from Taxi. All right. It's fantastic, right?
Yeah.
I mean, give me a break.
It's crazy.
Give me a break. All right. That's not what I wanted to share.
Breaking news, Andy Murray just went down. He again, in the 3rd round, goes down 2 sets after beating the Italian the same way in the 2nd round. And comes back and beats this guy in like a 5-hour marathon again. But I don't know if he'll be able to walk for round 4.
That dude likes long matches.
He always has, but God, he's old. He's like 37, but he's beating the youngsters. Speaking of old men.
Back to the playground and how soft we've become. We've even become softer since Jordan retired, because Slam Studios shared and Patrick David shared also. Michael Jordan's last season at age 40, he played all 82 games. Even if he had the sniffles, I'm sure he had a little fever at one point, and not a Johnny fever. He averaged 37 minutes. Matt, that would lead the league in the NBA right now. I mean, I just find that staggering.
Yeah.
He would, as a 40-year-old, he would lead the league in playing minutes. That just blows me away. It's beyond belief.
It's not beyond meat, but it is beyond belief.
Matt, Jetta Marcus shared. He went to Kroger. The new way to engage is just to give somebody an egg. And then our favorite was the uproar when the New Zealand Prime Minister stepped away. It's just fantastic. I want to just bring this up. We're going to get back to this. We're going to cover commodities first. But this was Charlie you say it, his share on median home payment as a percentage of median income. We're well above the 06 top here at 46% needed to afford a median home price. I mean, if you're paying 46% for your housing, there's not a lot left for you to spend on anyways.
Yeah, and then to buy your egg engagement ring, I mean you're toast after that.
You got nothing.
You won't have any toast to sop up your runny egg.
Matt, you shared this in the network, a periodic table of commodity returns. Hold on. Come on, Rita. Get in here, you creep. We are in front of a live studio audience today. Rita has joined. Matt, I really want to sell lithium and buy coal when I look at that for a little reversion. 2022 lithium up 72% and coal down 48%. That seems like a natural play to me in the commodity space. But we're going to look at something else. We're going to look at the Goldman Sachs Commodity Index. Bring it up, Matt. I was very involved on the trading floor in the GSCI as the lean hog contract was a part of this index.
Yeah, you brought this up. And again, we've been pulling back for quite some time. We've been pulling back probably since they started squawking about inflation. And, here's what's interesting. This is, the high of the inflationary measure by the Goldman Sachs Commodity Index was last March. And that is exactly the time when everybody started blaming Putin, right? Putin, it's all Putin's fault. That's when the war started in Ukraine. But that happens to be the high. So the market already anticipated the war, and the inflationary measures and the policies that were put in place by the Biden administration since he has taken office, here's 21. So no matter what you say, Joe, this is, well, hold on. Let me just get an accurate number. Here is 423 was where we started this administration on this index. We're currently at 610. So you do the math, that's right about 33% higher today. And we've been as high as double. And kind of to your point, and then, all the news today is about debt ceilings. Like we've had this, this is such a stupid thing, because we know they're going to keep printing more money. So they just
of course
kick the can forward, because, now you, my 4 kids, my whole family is indebted to the government for $1.5 million, because there's 6 of us at $250 a pop, and inflation is here, and we're just on the treadmill. So, but what I find interesting about this chart, Bob, is we've had a huge pullback. And basically what I was, if you want to draw kind of a fib from where Biden took over, again, 423 up here to the high of 851, the 61.8 is right where we're dancing around here at 592. We've been below it. We're above it now. And this is the battle line. And I think this is the battle line because this was the high here before we slingshotted back here. I would guess, there's a good chance that this chart could test that high again. And, what's interesting about this is if I bring up an interest rate chart, and I'm just going to do it via the 10-year here, because I want you to keep in mind, because I didn't have time to do an overlay here, but I bet you if we overlaid these, they would almost sit on top of each other. And here's the 10-year. And again, the 10-year went a little higher from, this was here's March of where's March of 22, right about here. So this is where we were. So the interest rates took a while. They were 235 here, then they almost doubled, right? So they're behind the curve there, so to speak. And the 10-year is still a full 60, 0.6 basis points below the 2-year. So that inversion hasn't changed. It's still wide. It's still hugely wide. The 2-year, you can get 4.05. But I think what I'm trying to say here is this pullback kind of mirrors that 430 back here to 360. And we may go a little deeper on the 10-year. But I think we're going to see this go to 5.
And that's what Jamie Dimon said today. And
yeah, I'm not the only one saying that. And it just the way gold is acting, the way gold is trading, the way oil is acting, the way oil is trading is telling me that there's something much bigger than what everybody knows about. And that will come out soon, whether it's war, whether it's whatever it may be. But there's something happening that people are preparing for. And that's why you're starting to see the ramp up in gold, and you're starting to see the ramp up in oil. And I would think that commodity index from Goldman Sachs has a good potential to scream higher again. So don't think that this is just, again, Grandpa Joe is telling you one thing, but the reality is a whole different thing. So just keep that in mind.
For sure. All right, Matt.
He's ordering burgers from Small Business Administration loaned companies that have no idea how to run a business, but he gave month, which is again inflation.
We're going to get back to that.
Yeah,
we're going to get back to that. I wanted to share. We have followed the story since the inception of it, Matt, and that is the Live Golf. Just the incredible whining out of the established legacy organization, right? And just the, immediately trying to make it blood money and any tack they could take. But then you saw all the players benefit from it, not only in golf, but in tennis, other things where they're like, you know what, we don't want to have a rival league, so we better start paying our players more. So I thought that was interesting. But
Yeah.
the Live Golf finally reaches a deal with the CW, and I did a little research on the CW. Well, I didn't do it. I just read this article. I guess reading is research, but the CW is owned by Nexstar Media, Matt, and they got a 75% stake in the CW. I thought interesting too, they go here, the average age viewer is 58 years old. I mean, I think it's the perfect network for this league to go to. And they're breaking the door. You know, the funny thing to me is, I thought when I read this, I thought immediately about ESPN. ESPN was basically fledgling, right? And then NBC stopped. They canceled their contract with the NHL, right? And ESPN had the chance to pick up a major sport and it was the premier offering for their network. And without that happening, ESPN does not become what it is today.
Yeah,
Because
and they're
it was
back. They're back. Broadcasting hockey again, and it's brought hockey back because hockey, until this year, again, you couldn't find it. Maybe NBC had a game occasionally, but now ESPN has picked that up, and I think it has helped Disney in their ESPN product because football is still there, but the college football has really kept them alive. And ABC Monday Night Football is technically ESPN Disney too. So right. So they have that. But yeah, it's interesting to watch. But I've never looked at this chart ever. I've never heard of it, never traded it. But the one thing about Nexstar, this is a long-term chart that I'm looking at. This is 6 years that we're looking at here. This is very bullish. And again, has done very, which makes sense. Like people are at home and that demographic is stuck watching. And if they can't afford Peacock and Disney and all these really expensive, this is over the air television with advertising dollars still, right?
Exactly. And it pays a dividend.
It's got a small dividend, 2% at least, a market cap of just under 7 billion. So again, trades 50,000 shares a day, not very actively. Participation is not very big there, but or it trades about 185,000 a day. But again, that's a very bullish chart. I don't know where you get on board here, but 182 currently trading as high as 204. I don't have
right where your cursor is there. I mean, if something should go,
if it gets
sideways,
below if it gets under 135, that's why I put it here. You got to be out. That's your bottom, and that would be an area where you would be short because then it'll probably run all the way back to that profile down here to the 65 level. So
the thing that's going to be awesome is to see. This is going to be a real ratings challenge now. The PGA has a ratings challenger.
Well, and again, will they do things like you and I have talked about? Will they have, unique announcers that aren't boring, that spice up golf and have a betting aspect of it on a shot? Like you said, there's so much they could do.
There is so much they could do with the in-game prop. Could you imagine Charles Barkley with the in-game prop betting, like guys standing up to the tee?
Yeah,
it really goes back to caddy.
Which again, with this whole there's so much, gambling and pot. Like how many outlets do you need for gambling and pot? We have more. The consolidation, we're just beginning the consolidation phase for sure, and it's going to be dog eat dog, and people like Penn and Barstool and are competing against MGM and Caesars, right? Good luck. Who's going to win in that? It's just going to be a consolidation of all these different entities as we continue to make everything about sports gambling. Did you ever think in your life that, as you're watching the pregame, you'd have to watch every announcer give you their pick every day?
I know, it is ridiculous. Although it's good information on people that suck and then are people that are good. And again, I will say it's easier to fade the guy that sucks than it is to try to follow the guy that's good.
Correct. Yeah, like you see that. Like I was watching one of those NFL games, and some guy, I didn't even know his name, Matt somebody, was 20-4. I'm like, who is this guy?
Right, exactly. And why is he on?
Why is he even
network?
on here? Not-
Right. He should have his own chat room with
He
10,000
should.
people watching.
He should have his own
Yeah.
Discord where he's pumping free information or, information for hire. I don't know. That seems to be what those peeps do in that world, but
Right on. All right,
Yeah.
man, I gotta share this. Funny. Hold on a second. There it is. A new follow of mine, Jane Potvin, Matt, a nice hockey name out of Canada. And Jane, she shares 99.9% of people don't know what smart city means. It doesn't mean smart as in intelligent, clever, or a good thing. SMART is an acronym for SMART: surveillance, monitoring, analysis, reporting, reporting and technology. So you'll have the technology to report on your neighbor. And I got to tell you, this is what I think is the biggest pushback.
And there's plenty of people that like that world, by the way. They want to tell on you. They want to.
Well, and that's what they've been catering to for a couple of years now.
The fear and loathing.
Yes, fear and shame. Fear and
Yes.
shame, Matt. Fear and shame. That's how we drive policy, with fear and
Yes.
shame.
Yeah.
The thing that blows me away.
Well, we don't, but the current administration does. Yes.
Yes. Yeah, and even Tony Blair, he's saying that they're still on this. He was at Davos yesterday, still spouting about the global passport that everybody should have to hold, so we know what your medical conditions are and whether you've been up to date on your jabs. It's insane. My problem with this is I don't understand why I don't think anybody is opposed to some of the things that this would push, which is hyper localization. Like, you can't have a smart city and these neighborhood pods that they want to, right? If you don't have a bread maker, a coffee maker, all these things that make a neighborhood vibrant, like hyper localization. Why do they gotta pitch it like you can't go there? Instead of, why would you want to go there? You got everything at your fingertips because we've pushed hyper localization on you.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just blows me away that the messaging is so brutal, and their tack on accomplishing it is even more brutal. Like, nobody wants this type of authoritarianism in their lives.
Well, you need a Gary Vaynerchuk pitch versus an Al Gore, Greta Thunberg pitch, right?
I agree.
It's very simple.
Bring on Gary.
But again, nobody that is positive is going to give that pitch because they don't believe in this smart technology, right? That's the problem. It's only the guys who want it. It's the guy in the middle behind your right shoulder there. That's Al Gore as a kid, by the way. That is an actual picture of Al Gore
was sitting on the lowest rung
on the jungle gym. He thinks
sitting on the lowest rung.
Yep. Lowest rung. No, he's actually he's over here with those two kids ready to knock him off on the right there.
Right.
That's Al Gore, and that's why he's angry, because he got the shit beat out of him because he was fast-lipped and such a little pussy as a kid that he got the shit beat out.
Is that guaranteed? Probably.
Guaranteed, probably.
Right. I do know that Al is very vehemently talking about the dangers of the world that we face. Yet he has a 20,000 plus square foot house with no solar panels on it. Well, he was actually screaming about how fast we have to build solar panels.
He was screaming this morning. By the way, is Tipper still around?
I have no idea.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Tipper.
I said it last night, man. I can't believe that it's not July of 24. What the next time I should be talking about politics?
Right.
3 months.
Or maybe election. October of 24.
Right. Exactly.
2 weeks before.
2 weeks. All right, Matt. We did get a further pullback, but again, in these equities, no new pricing.
Yeah, but here's something I did want to talk about. What do you think? So are bonds and equities no longer correlated?
I did notice that some of these correlations seem to be breaking.
Yesterday the bonds were up all day. So let's talk about that a little bit, because we hit a key juncture here also, and that key juncture was. Hang on one second.
Yeah. we're hanging. I got nowhere else to go.
The
fill
key
in time.
juncture on the UB was 146. And again, I sold some at the close yesterday at the 145 level, and I put a big chunk up at 146. The question that you're asking is why, Matt? Why did you do 146? Quite simply, that was the high that we just saw here in December. That's it. That's all it was. And I just figured, and we had run from 133. So again, a huge move back here, right? Now, I would have been wrong if we got up to like 46.20 or so. However, that worked out. We're down to 143.15 today. Take that, take those profits again. I mentioned it in the chat that the bonds were fat. Yesterday, I sold them and I added at 146, and now we're down to 143.14. So just pull them off again. And again, but again, today they're both down, but yesterday the bonds were up all day. So I'm pointing it out because they came down, but when they came down, but just like the market did, but they went back before the whole day. They bottomed midday here at 9 a.m. and went up the rest of the day. So I don't know what to make of it, Bob, but again, I'm watching, these correlations may not matter anymore. And then the other thing is the dollar really isn't doing much. We'll just talk about it. The dollar didn't shoot that much higher to give us, say, 130 points off on the SPGSCI yesterday. So, any thoughts on that? What do you think about the dollar?
Again, I think these correlations are breaking down, and for me, I think that means again, nobody knows what the hell's coming down the pike.
Yes, it's very confusing. Very
confusing, and if you're trying to lean one way because of what one market is doing.
Yeah, I guess what I'm pointing out is you got to trade price on whatever you're trading, and just because you think the dollar going higher could mean equities go lower. Well, that didn't happen here, and you weren't saved by that, right? So because the dollar made another new low yesterday, actually off that PPI, it's rallied back to the level that they're having.
Perfect double Gallagher, by the way.
Yeah, nice double Gallagher. Very bullish, by the way. If you do start getting over 103.50 or so, very bullish. But that's a bit away. We're trading 102 right now, a little bit below. So again, the dollar has not made its turn still, yet the equities fell off considerably. I just want to point that out. And the bonds, again, you would think they'd be down. They're down today, but they weren't down yesterday, and they're only down 2.5 from the high of 146. So it's really a counter trend trade that I was taking based on the obvious information that anybody could have seen. But it worked, and again, I'm not overstaying my welcome. I'll take $2.50 out of a bond trade like that all day.
Bingo. Yeah, I mean, for me, Matt, on the profile basis, these S&Ps, I mean, the levels are clear to me. It's 37.
Yeah, we're still in the 30. We're still
3,700 to 40, 50, 40, 60, and until we can break out of that.
Well, for me, it's 3,800 to 4,200. Real simple. And again, everybody knows the 3,800 level. They tried to push it the first time. Will they do it the second time? I don't know. They we'll see. That's why we play the game. But again, it kind of feels to me like I don't know. Again, something big is happening, policy, politically, locally, or not locally, but domestically or internationally that we don't know about. That's coming. Like it is coming, and I can only speculate. But that might be the thing that takes us below that 3,800. But again, I'm gonna keep saying this, that we may take out last year's lows, but I don't. Let's say we go to 3,200 and we're at 3,900 right now. That's another 700 points. That's not quite 20%. I don't know if we're going to get below, say 3 to 3,200. I just don't see it this year. I'm kind of thinking we're actually going to slingshot higher. But again, I don't know. But I think there's some bad news coming first. That's got to be flushed before we can go to that higher level. I'm not buying stocks as of yet. I'd like to buy them down there at 3,200, 3,500, 3,200, 3,000. Or if we go over 4,200, I'll probably be, then you'll probably be kind of forced. Maybe we'll go back to that 48, 5,000 level. That's kind of how I see it. Just real big macro. Those are the levels for the S&P, and we're just talking S&P, right? So,
yeah.
And again, I don't think I'm I'm saying just because of what the banks have done, we're not going to see bad earnings again this January term. I think it's going to be the second and or third quarter that we may see that and may see an acceleration in jobless claims, because although we're seeing some in tech, we're not, and we've saw some
here's the
at Ford and manufacturing. We don't do a ton of manufacturing in this country anyways.
Here's the simple fact is that our demographic is going to wherever somebody loses a job, there's another job for them somewhere else.
Right now.
Yeah, because the demographic, there's so many people retiring every month.
Right.
It's a staggering number.
Yeah, because of the baby boomer.
Yes. I mean, so the demographic is gonna, I don't see any looseness in the labor market for the rest of our lives, to be quite honest. Like if you want to work, you're going to be able to work till you die. Even if you don't have to.
Yeah.
Maybe you want to.
Well, and with that 250,000 that each of us owes, we'll probably have to. I mean, have you seen that trend on all these countries pushing their, like France? Did you see the riots happening today?
They don't show any riots anywhere on Main Street.
Well, there's huge outcry in Paris today and all the big cities because Macron is changing the retirement age from whatever.
Oh yeah. Well, they don't work anyway. Let's call a spade a spade.
Yeah, but they all want their free pension, and he's saying we can't pay it. I mean, that's what's going to happen to. It's already they're so far ahead of us in Europe, but that's what's going to happen here. So watch the playbook. Like those people are in the streets because they want their money that they're owed. Again, they want their handout, these socialists, right? Well, our socialist social security is the same thing, right? We are socialists when it comes to that program too. It's a Ponzi scheme. You can't dig into what.
Wait a second. If it's a Ponzi scheme,
you can't dig into what it's. Just wait. Yes.
Yeah. Marty Armstrong, Matt, shared an article or shared his thoughts on the whole Bernie Madoff thing, and I think it was important. In context for today with the FTX situation, like if that was a money laundering situation, and he hinted that the Bernie Madoff thing was nothing but a money laundering operation. And then once they called it a Ponzi scheme, they didn't have to do any investigating into the money laundering possibility of the enterprise. Very interesting. I had never heard anybody mention that. I just watched the Bernie Madoff documentary. There was no mention of it in that, but very interesting how FTX is now a Ponzi scheme instead of a money laundering operation to fund whatever you want to fund. And believe me, they've been doing that. The whole Ollie North thing was like the government wanted to fund programs. Speaking, to Elon Musk, like none of these Davos people are elected officials, yet they're pushing agendas. They're pushing policy. None of them are elected. The government wants to do things, and if they can't do it by the laws that govern them, what do? They get Ollie North to figure out an NGO that can do the work for them, and rinse and repeat. Right to Bernie Madoff possibly, and right to FTX possibly.
Right.
All right, we got a little pullback here. Any thoughts on the rest of the trading day? I think the range is in.
There's no news today. There's really, again, I don't see us collapsing any further. I think we're just going to kind of middle. I think we've probably put in maybe the lows for the day, which was 3,900. I was hoping to get to 38.80, 38.60, but
Matt, I love the 38.80. There's an old commodity guy that used to.
I like the 38.60 more than the 38.80, but I like it quickly. So I don't know if again, we're not getting there today. But yeah, this
you know how you talk about round number bingo?
Yeah.
There was pay attention to this too. There was it's round number bingo 0.1, and that's 20 over a figure or 20 under a figure are really good places for bounces.
Yeah.
So if a market's running, you don't sell the figure, you sell 20 over. If a market's running and breaking, you don't buy the figure, you buy the 80 under. Yeah. And it's it's as simple as that round number bingo that and double tops and the other things that you try to participate in. but pay attention to it going forward. Whatever you're trading too, by the way, whatever you're trading, it seems to be a pretty consistent.
Yeah, they like to run. I mean, they like to run the round numbers. It's real simple. It's nothing, I'm not telling
right.
you.
And they run the stops and you get the 20. You get the 20 extra
20s,
above
30s,
or below.
40s, right. Mhm.
All right. I'm not sure I got it. Oh, I know what I want to share. Holy shit. Lee, get in the office right now because I was supposed to share this on the way in. Son of a billy goat. Of course, I didn't. I don't even know where I can find it now. Hold on a second, Matt. We got to talk pulled pork.
Please.
All right, I'm going to find it. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Matt, you know what's been very interesting is the journalism that's taking place in Davos. Don't you find that interesting that there's actually people out there looking to do journalism?
Yeah, they're asking questions. They're not getting answers, but it's kind of, it's just like it's like going to a White House press secretary conference or a Q&A too. She doesn't answer ever a question.
All right, I found it. All right, listen. Matt's got some, he's got a pork shoulder that he just bought. And this is the live footage of when you go low and slow, what you're absolutely supposed to be able to do with that pork shoulder. Like pulling it can also mean smushing it. I'm just smushing it around. And it's just gorgeous. And look at all that juice, the au jus. Matt, there's the pepperoncinis on it. Look at this thing. You just push into it and it just falls apart. That is what low and slow cooking looks like right there. Pepperoncini, equal amounts, brown sugar, and the shrimp mojo. This was for the food cart. When I had the food cart, Matt, there's 5 shoulders in that pan. And then we're going to go sliders with the King's Hawaiian bread and coleslaw. I mean, forget about it. Seriously, forget about it. Unreal how good that is. That's our sponsor, Manja TV and the Shrimp Mojo. It's available at Amazon.com. Highly recommend it. What else you got, Matt?
Well, again, Andy Murray went 5. You got, by the way, have you seen there's a new series, with the Australian Open, the first of the Grand Slams starting this week. Have you seen there's a new show on Netflix documentary called Breakpoint? It's pretty good. I highly recommend it because I haven't watched, outside of the big 3, right? Rafa, Federer, and Novak. I mean, those are the guys winning everything the last 20 years. So in between them, they've won like 60, almost 70, right? 70 Grand Slams. So they've won them all in the last 20 years, pretty much. But the story is more about the guys up and coming, the young kids from all over the world. And it's made me excited. And I gotta say, it's a good piece of marketing, even though it's not marketing technically, it's a good, that the tennis, that's the only way. You got to get to know these personalities. And I think that's one of the things that the Live will do, hopefully with their TV coverage, is talk to these guys in between shots. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe that's something you could do differently.
Or we've talked about this before. I mean, they have a cool format. They have more of a country club format with teams and you draft. I mean, I want to see that. I want to see what kind of personalities are in that draft room.
Right.
And let them start talking smack. I mean, that's what you did in the country club, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's what everybody does. That's why you join a country club. It's a old cruster, fraternity. It's all it is, right?
Bingo.
For 40 to 70-year-olds.
All right.
I like to be in the 30-year-old in that environment back in the day, but I'm just in the middle of the 30 to 70-year-olds. So it's not fun anymore.
All right, Matt. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Lee. Please visit us at marketvitals.io. Please go to Amazon.com and buy some Shrimp Mojo. For God's sakes, cook somebody a meal. And I'm not opposed to hyper-localization, Matt. I am not to fight globalization. I think that would be a great thing.
Yeah.
I
was trying to look this up before we went off here. I really don't know of any lithium companies
Oh
myself.
yeah, lithium. Well, that's our task for tomorrow's show. I'll find.
But I looked and I saw a bunch of penny stocks, and I refuse ever to talk about those. So I don't know. Is it Arch Resources? I think it used to be Arch Coal. There's probably one I would look at if you want to look at coal, Bob. So let me just, before you go here, let me just bring that up, because I feel like we didn't address your, at least the long side of your equation. You were
Dude, I'm
suggesting.
all in. I'm long.
So Arch Resources, which again, dig on this a little bit. I'm not sure if this is still the same company, but there used to be an Arch Coal, and I can't see if Arch Coal is around. So ARCH, trading on the New York Stock Exchange. Again, this is just the shorter term looks pretty balanced, right? Looks pretty bullish, right to the middle of that profile. Longer term profile, just to pull back to see kind of where we are. This should match, I would imagine, what we're seeing in a lot of the commodity indices, and in fact, it does. So it's gone higher, and it is still higher. So this has had a heck of a run. The COVID low here was, again, down here at $20. So that was even coal had a 10 bagger. And if Greta would have bought some coal, she could have financed maybe a little better production out of her arrest pictures yesterday. I don't know.
Oh my goodness. The whole
That is-
world is a stage, Matt. The whole world is a stage.
But again, to me, this looks like, next time it gets below 125, watch out, be careful. But if it stays above that, it's still on the long-term chart, pretty good. And again, the shorter term that we started with looks really good. I mean, it just looks right into the meat of the profile, and pays a very small dividend, less than 1%. Trades not hugely, 350,000 shares a day. So you can't put on huge positions here without, leaving a footprint. But it looks okay for the smaller trader in the positioning. But again, anything kind of below that 125 to me, looks a little tricky.
Right on. All right. Coal for your stocking. By the way, Matt, speaking of coal, look at this.
Yeah.
That is a hunk of coal.
Yeah.
I keep that on my trade desk, Matt. A hunk of coal. And there's a story, but I'm not going to share it. But there is a hunk of coal on my trade desk. How many guys have a hunk? I mean, that's a solid hunk of coal.
It is a solid hunk of coal.
I mean, seriously, that is a solid hunk of coal. It could be a weapon. It's actually, look, I mean, it's very solid. Anyway, can't share everything, Matt. All right, that's what we got. That's what we got. Enough time. That's going to be a diamond. All I need to do is get Oprah to sit on it. I think that'd be enough pressure.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Or Lizzo.
Or you and me. Equal opportunity. All right, that's what we got. Please retweet the broadcast. We do not want anybody liking this. Just retweet. Thank you.
Have you heard? Wait, I got one more sporting event just to toss out there, because this just kind of came across my feed here. What do you think? Because I think you'd be good at this. The slap fighting league. What do you think about this?
So you get to actually slap somebody in the face?
Yeah.
Man, I got to tell you,
Power Slap League. It's called Dana White. Okay, Power Slap League.
I have a few people.
You got to sit there and take it like Tanya Harding.
Listen, there's a few people I wouldn't mind getting into that with, and I don't even care if I lose. I don't even care if I lose.
But do you want to go first, or
no.
do you want? Okay.
No, I'll take the. Let me see what you got.
You want to deliver?
Better knock me out.
Like on the coin flip here, it's like you're saying most guys are going to want to hit first.
I don't think so. And what are the rules? Like, can I take the slap? Can I turn my head with it?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I haven't read about it yet, but apparently it's
league.
Power Slap League.
Day trading is enough of a slap league.
You don't need any more fun.
Exactly. I get slapped around enough. Thank you very little. All right, that's what we got. What a show. Pulled pork recipe.
Pulled pork, power
let's go-
slaps.
Pulled pork, let's go over it again. Shoulder, half a cup of shrimp mojo, half a cup of brown sugar into a crock pot or into a pan covered in foil. You can throw some pepperoncinis on there. You can pour some of the pepperoncini juice in there too, right? Low and slow. And I'm talking, here's the thing, like I can't say at 2 1/4 for 4 hours because it might be 2 1/4 for 8 hours. Here's when it's done. When you lift it off and you take those tongs and it just
shreds
and it just smushes. It
Yeah.
just kind of starts falling apart. That's when it's done. It's not, well, it's 4 hours, it's done. No, maybe, but not for sure.
Right.
You want it just to just pull, you can grab it and pull, or you can smush it. Tongs right into it. It should just fall apart. That's what I'm talking about. I'm hungry now. I'm hungry. I want a slider. I want a pulled pork slider. Little barbecue sauce, little coleslaw, King's Hawaiian bun. Forget about it. All right, Matt.
and
Thank you.
I would throw a little Swiss cheese on it personally.
No, no need for cheese.
Oh yeah, yeah. A little
Goodbye,
sharpness.
Matt.
Sharpness.
Goodbye, Matt.